And then Delhi taught me how to fight for a place. I came to Delhi, got into a college here, Delhi University. I was drawn towards student politics. I wanted to do something, right? I never wanted to exist. I never wanted to just live. I wanted to make a dent into the life. I had a voice. I wanted to use it, but I didn't know how. The only way at that point of time was to get into student politics if I wanted to do something. I was afraid of getting into politics. No one in my entire family had ever done that. Having chosen the only option that I had, I entered student politics. Hi everyone, I'm Mukesh Katotra. I'm the CFO and Executive Director Strategy for Jammu Oliver Restaurants in India. 15 people, 3 rooms, a house made of mud and memories. That was home I was born in. I was born in Jammu in a family of 15 people. My dad was a defense personnel working in Indian Air Force, and my mom came from army background. She was the daughter of an army guy. It was a very humble beginning. My family we didn't have much, but we had enough to dream. Luckily, because of my dad's job, I got an opportunity to step out of Jammu and roam across different cities, grow across different cities. I never went to fancy schools. I went to a central government school, but I went to a classroom that the best life could offer, and that was India. I grew up in small towns, Kanpur, Ahmedabad, and then came to Delhi. Kanpur taught me grit. Yes. Ahmedabad, I learned how people were giving business lessons to their kids over breakfast. And then Delhi taught me how to fight for a place. I came to Delhi, got into a college here, Delhi University. I was drawn towards student politics. I wanted to do something, right? I never wanted to exist. I never wanted to just live. I wanted to make a dent into the life. I had a voice. I wanted to use it, but I didn't know how. The only way at that point of time was to get into student politics if I wanted to do something. I was afraid of getting into politics. No one in my entire family had ever done that. Having chosen the only option that I had, I entered student politics. I grew up to the president of South Campus of Delhi University, and then I fought for a lot of student rights, justice for students, made a dent in my student life, and then grew. That was my first fight against the fear that I always had. I was lucky enough in the 2009 subprime crisis. I got through a campus placement and I joined a company which was a Fortune 500. Sounds fancy, right? Yeah, but it was into accounting. I hated accounting at that time. I never wanted to do anything in finance, but I hardly had any other option. I had to pick up a job, and that was the only job I had. I worked there for 2 years, and during those 2 years, I used to hate my job. I used to love people. I used to love my colleagues. I used to love the environment of the company that I was working for, but I used to hate my job. And I decided that I have to get out of this as soon as possible, and I never want to do this again. I started preparing for CAT, cracked the B school, and then joined the B school for 2 years. During the first 2 semesters, I was very sure what I wanted to do. I wanted to get into sales, but life had some other plans for me. As soon as I was doing my internship, I met with a small accident and I slipped my disc, and I was almost on a wheelchair for 3-4 months. Now, sales was a very physically demanding job at that point of time, and I had no other option to abandon sales and try to do something else. HR was too boring for me, and guess what? I ended up doing an MBA in finance. But then I thought, maybe even if I've studied finance, I'll figure out something to do which is not related to finance or has least amount of finance involved. I joined a company which was an auto part manufacturing company, I worked there. I joined that MD's office, and I had to do some little finance there, but not much. And I was quite happy. I was okay with that. I was okay with doing a little bit of finance since I had studied finance, but I never wanted to do a lot, or at least more than that. 2 years down the line, I was seconded to a business that they freshly acquired, and that was restaurants and F&B. So now we all know how I ended up here. So when I was seconded to this business, my role was to help all the departments to set up and launch these two brands that we acquired, which were Wendy's and Jamie Oliver restaurants. I was helping all the departments, and one of those departments was finance. And as much as I was trying to run away from finance, finance was attracting me. I started getting along very well with the then CFO of the business. I was working with him, I was helping him out with whatever little finance that I knew at that point of time. And then 2016, the company got into a really big crisis. Now, as they say, sometimes a crisis for someone can be an opportunity for someone else. Now, that crisis came as an opportunity for me, but not a very pleasant, at least at that point of time. A lot of people were laid off from the company, including the CFO that I was getting along with really well. Now, as soon as he was laid off, I was called to director's office, and my director asked me, "Will you take over as CFO?" Now remember, a guy who is sitting at a manager level at that point of time, who is afraid of even the word finance, has been given an opportunity of taking over as a CFO. That was a shock. I laughed a little, and it was very difficult to believe what was happening. And I told the director, I said, "Are you even sure? I don't even know how to pronounce depreciation correctly. What will I do?" And he said, "Think about it," right? And as I was talking to him, I was thinking in my mind that this is a lifetime opportunity which won't knock twice, right? So I had no other option. And to think it through, I asked for some time. Luckily, it was a Friday evening, and he allowed me 2 days. He said, "Answer me on Monday." And I had to come up with an answer on Monday. That was a really scary weekend. I was anxious. I was panicking. I was thinking what I have to do. I was thinking of the answer that I had to deliver on Monday. I was calling my friends. I was calling my mentors, all the seniors that I had worked with, and I had no clue. And then on the Sunday evening, I sat down and I thought, what is there to lose? Maybe I would get fired. Maybe I would lose the job that I'm in. But there are almost 99% chances that I would anyway lose that job, looking at the crisis the company is in. But if this one thing I'm able to crack, maybe that would change my life, because I was about to skip a lot of ladders in the corporate hierarchy. I was a manager, and I had to take over as a CFO. On Monday, I went to the office and I gathered enough courage to go into the director's room and tell him that I'm ready to take over as a CFO. And I told him that I'll do a 90 days trial, and the least he can do for me is give me my current job back if I fail during that 90 days. And he agreed. That particular day, I went back in the evening. I went to a bookshop. I bought every possible book of accounting that was available there, from class 11th to BCom honors to all the CA books, everything that was available there. And I started studying. And I still remember the first 6 months of that journey was a nightmare. I used to work during the day and I used to study during the night. I used to be up till 3:34 in the morning just to study. And then at 6:37, I used to leave for office. But I cracked it. I managed it, and I was successful as a CFO for the first 6 months. I still remember I was awarded at that point of time an award which was called Most Promising Future CFO, and that was by National Stock Exchange and Yes Bank. Yeah, future, that was the word, right? So whatever growth capital at that point of time that we had raised, we used that to acquire the business, and we were left with literally nothing. Now the next task was to raise money to run the business that we recently acquired. We were lucky. In 2018, we found our first investor and we raised a couple of $1 million to run the business at that point of time. And we had just started growing the business now, which was now our own business, and comes 2020, COVID hits. We had 500 employees, the business was shut, and we had no idea what to do. But as I said, I was always one of those people who never wanted to exist or just live. I always wanted to do something that made a dent. We decided that we'll help people during this time. We started feeding people. We started a campaign called One Family, and we started raising money. And guess what? We ended up raising more than 2 crore rupees. We were feeding 12,000 families at that point of time, and then the campaign got really big. We were not acquiring customers at that time, but what we were acquiring were blessings from people in the toughest period that humans have probably ever seen. As soon as we started recovering for COVID, what we did was we started acquiring sites at really good prices because the real estate prices went down during that time. To just survive during that period, we got into a new format in one of our businesses, which was a QSR business. We got into cloud kitchens. And remember, when blessings help, there's nothing else that can stop you. We sold one of our business in 2023 at a really good exit. And the other business, we grew to 35 plus sites. That's what blessings can do. So people say life is a ladder. I don't really agree. Life is a spiral. You keep coming back to the same lessons, but every time you come back stronger. The main gist of the story is that whenever a fear tells you to say no, just say yes. If you fight your fears, the world is endless and sky is the limit. And always try to make a dent. Never try to exist. There's a very famous line that I always use, and I have it inked on my body, by John Elia, which says, "Sirf zinda rahe, hum to mar jayenge." I would rather die than to just exist. Thank you.